I think we're far more likely to see inflation than we are to see shortages here again, but here is a very small part of the world.
Oh, so I see.
And,
So your hypothesis is we're going to suck up all the food from the rest of the world.
well, we're certainly going to be the marginal buyer at whatever the price is to clear the market,
Yeah,
and then
right,
that price
right.
is going to set a price that is just out of reach for those who are already on the edge in poor countries. And so in the U.S., our budget that goes towards food is small compared to the rest of the world as a proportion of our income. So the price elasticity of demand in the U.S. is such that we will be the price setters for the global market.
Right. Okay.
That's my theory. Now, good. Who knows? This is a very chaotic system. We are not that far away from export controls and price controls, and so who knows how that all shakes out. If you ask me today to predict it, I think, especially in an election year with the sitting president and ruling party behind in the polls, they will do whatever it takes to make sure there are no food shortages, including exporting inflation at record levels in those critical commodities. And so if the U.S. is going to be the incremental buyer, prices are set at the margin. I don't think we're going to see food shortages here. I think we're going to see substantial spikes in inflation, which can be managed through, stimulus and payments based on your income level to help offset the cost. We're already seeing that all over the country for gas. If they're going to do it for gas, you think they're not going to do it for food? Of course, they're going to do it for food. And so the last thing any ruling party wants is food riots. And as much as the existing Biden administration and their allies in Congress might care about other countries, it's probably a pretty good bet that they care more about their reelection than they do about what happens in some faraway land. And so I think that we are going to be the marginal buyer. That price is going to be much higher than it is today. There will be some shortages here, but it'll be inconvenience. It won't be sort of starvation. But to the countries that are on the cusp, that relied on Ukraine for imports or that could barely afford, you're going to see weaker currencies, you're going to see empty shelves, you're going to see food riots. The old expression is 9 meals to crazy. We're hope we're wrong. We ended the piece by saying, we've never been more sure of something and never been more hopeful that we're dead wrong. We would be the happiest people in the world if our piece, in hindsight, was viewed as hyperbolic and incorrect. We take no pleasure in making this call. And in fact, we hope by writing the piece in our own small way, maybe we can affect some change so that we can avoid some of these most serious consequences, which would start by us getting a little bit more serious about our energy policy.
Can you go into that? I know we discussed that on a live stream on the Rebel Capitalist channel, but for the George Gammon viewers, I think that's definitely worth diving into.
Well, I just think we have not yet experienced enough pain to snap our leaders into the seriousness of the fact that we are hurtling at 60 miles an hour into the brick wall of physics. I mean, energy is not doesn't appear from a magic wand. You can't create it from platitudes. If hot air was enough to power the economy, we'd be in an epic sea of abundance. But it literally, it has to be produced. It has to be explored for. It has to be developed. Capital needs to be deployed. Labor needs to work. And then the capitalists who took the risk to develop all of that and finance all of that need to be rewarded, so they keep doing it. And we live in this ignorance, this utopia of ignorance, where we just assume that energy materializes or that we can snap our fingers or wave a wand and provide the energy that's needed to sustain life, just because we wished it or we willed it. This is not how the world works. And, we've been screaming for a long time at Doomberg. We've been writing these pieces. We've been going on podcasts. We've been reaching out to politicians. Our pieces have been forwarded to members of Congress and their staff. These are very simple calculations. The laws of physics will not be denied. Energy is life. The amount of energy you produce dictates the integral of the standard of living that your population can enjoy. All humans would like a higher standard of living. When humans don't have a sufficiently high standard of living to meet Maslow's hierarchy of needs, they riot, and as they should. And so, on the path from abundance to starvation is riot. And we're getting pretty close to the riot phase in many countries. I do believe that the political system in the US will react. Even Joe Biden and his inner circle, I believe, know the score. But we need to get serious about energy. We need to stop the nuisance lawsuits that are preventing, natural gas pipelines that are 95% complete from reaching production. We need to understand that it is better to produce clean natural gas and domestic oil than it is to go begging Venezuela and Iran to fill in the gap that we have created by a de facto sanctioning of Russia. And by the way, we're not here to argue that sanctioning Russia is a bad idea. Sanctioning Russia without a plan to backfill it through domestic production that is secure and local is a bad idea. And we're about to find out who really holds the cards over there. Until we still see unserious politicians on Twitter opposing domestic development of high energy efficiency, high energy return on energy invested fuel sources like nuclear and natural gas. And until we experience enough pain, these people are still going to have political sway. And it's a shame because we will eventually have to do it. Like, there is no other solution. We will either have to do that, or we will all have to suffer a far lower standard of living than is politically tolerable today. And so it's just frustrating. Like, we wish we could skip all the BS and get to the answer. The answer is domestic energy production with full environmental protections, far greater environmental protections than you would find in the countries we're begging to produce today, which is the irony of all of this. It's high time we stopped exporting our energy needs to dictators who don't like us.